close this stuff down. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm just going to close down my Adobe stuff because it's draining all the energy of my Mac. All right. Let me close down Photoshop as well. I don't need that open. Voila. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Black Betterment Broadcast. I am your host. This is Rap Raven. You know what I should have done as well? I actually should have promoted the Instagram page, which I will do. Let me put that in the group as well. Hold on. So, guys, just so you know, we've got a new Instagram page, a dedicated Black Batman page. Let me now switch to my thing. Oh, where's it gone? Why has everything just disappeared? There we go. Voila. Why can't I find it? Why can't I find it? Give me 14 seconds, family. See if I can find that fantastic thing. Capture. Oh, man. Hold on. I think I've lost permission to share. Oh, that's enough. Hold on. Screen recording. Oh, is that what they've updated the thing? Sorry, guys, they're blocking my screen recording privileges. Let's go to. Let me give you more time. Hold on. Let me put the timer just for a few more minutes. Hold on, family. A few more minutes. Let me reverse it for a bit. Wait there. Take it back. A few more minutes. There you go. Holy step. Hold on. Yeah. Alright, this is what it's going out. Bear with me. Screen recording. There we go. Found it. All right, I feel this is I have to use makeshift way. How we say, guys? I've had to put this into a different way to get it done, but okay, techniques. All right, we'll work out what happened there later on. My machine's blocking my share screen, but it's fine. You know, you live and you learn. All right, anyway, so we are on the 79th show. Your host, Rap Raven. Unfortunately, after much research, I've concluded that currently black people are collectively inadequate. That's something we say every week. We try to work on that. Voila. And what we're going to do, let me see if I can I stretch that out of the way? What, is there view mode or whatever? Let me not change. You change something, everything just starts going completely mad. Let me bigger. Oh, is that the size? I will deal with that then, whatever. It's what it is. Yeah, we're going to use the 4D values. So if those who don't know what the 4D values are, it's discipline, dedication, dignity, and discernment. That's right. All right. We're going to try to use hardly any derogatory language if we can. Just restrictive language this week, please, everyone. We're gonna send that link today and have a fantastic, constructive conversation. So please don't use any kind of derogatory language. And what is Black Betterment? For those who don't know, it's black people helping black people and black issues for betterment. That's what we're dealing with. That's what we're dealing with. That's the lifestyle we're dealing with. Voila. All right, now we will play some videos, so let me read this out. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107, the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowances made for fair use purposes such as criticism, comment, use of poem, scholarship, Free search, fair use is used permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringed, non-profit educational use, tips, bans, blah, blah, blah. Fantastic. All right, cool. So that means we're going to be showing some videos today that don't belong to us. The copyright is not us. So please, let me turn my phone off because it will keep on going off. It will never stop. It will never stop. Never does. Never does. All right, all right, cool. There you go. Excellent. Right. Now what we're going to do is, voila. So now we move to this topic, very serious topic this week, everyone. Very serious topic. How best can we protect Black children from racialized mistreatment? Very important topic. Let me put a thumbs up for those. There you go. Put a thumbs up for that. Why did it block my stuff? That's quite very peculiar, that is. Let me close all this other stuff as well. Let me close that down, leave that open, close that down, leave that open, close all this stuff down. That goes. Yeah, oh man. It's like you start something and then you just get a pop-up saying everything's blocked. Very annoying. Yeah, great timing as well. All right, cool, fantastic, super good. Yes. So where are we? Where are we? We want that. Yes. So two things. This week we also talk about the need for Black custodians and how we to create them if we get time. But as you know, we're gonna. There's actually a topic that came. It actually, I believe, started 2 years ago, but I think it's been quite a quiet case. There's a child they called, I believe, Child Q. And unfortunately, what happened was she went to a school and they believe she was they said she smelled of marijuana, or maybe she had some marijuana. So they got some police to take her to a room and strip searched her. They didn't find anything, but the fact that it happened. There's some other details in there which we'll see on the news report. We won't go into now, but it's just this is obviously unacceptable behavior. This happened 2 years ago. She's still traumatized by it, and it's just coming now in the news. So we're going to listen to the reporting just so we can get up to speed for those who don't know. And we'll stop and start and talk, but let's see what we can see. Okay, where are we? We're here right now. Play.
Over the strip searching of a Black schoolgirl who was suspected of carrying cannabis.
Oh, yeah.
The force said it should never have happened. A report found the impact of the search on the girl was profound. Catherine Nash joins me now. And Catherine, what do we know about what happened here?
Well, Sian, the details of this case have only come to light because a review was launched into the way that this teenage girl was treated. So police officers were called to her school by her teachers who believed she was in possession of drugs because they say she smelt of cannabis. Now, she was taken to a medical room by 2 female police officers while her teachers waited outside. So she was in that room on her own. And it was there that she was searched, and this was an intimate search. She was told to remove her clothing, including her underwear, and because they knew that she was on her period, she was also told to remove her sanitary pad as well. Now, no drugs were found on the girl. She was then put in a taxi home, and she turned up in a very distressed state.
Talk us through the findings then of the report. What did it say?
Well, this report has found a number of things, a number of failings, if you like. It said that the strip search should have never have happened. It was unjustified, that racism was likely to have been an influencing factor. Her experiences are unlikely to have been the same had she not
Racism was an influencing factor, interesting word.
Been Black. And it also said that it's highly likely that
there we go, this word, so we can read it.
Adultification. Bias was a factor. Adultifying factor. Her experiences are unlikely to have been the same had she not been Black. And it also said that it's highly likely that adultification.
Hard to pronounce, but when you pronounce it, it's not as hard. Adultification. If you guys can say it.
Bias was a factor. So this is when adults believe that Black children are older than they
something that happens, especially to Black women, or Black boys as well, but Black children, I should say,
actually are. Well, earlier we spoke to Leroy Logan. He's a former Metropolitan Police officer, to get his reaction to this case.
I was absolutely appalled by it because there were so many breaches of police protocol and safeguarding measures that I just wondered what the officers were thinking of to carry out such an intimate search on safe ground, supposedly in a school, and they didn't see anything wrong.
And the Metropolitan Police, what have they had to say?
Well, they've issued a statement today and they've apologised to the teenager and to her family. They've also recognised that the incident should never have happened.
Why did it happen?
And we also understand that 3 constables are being investigated for misconduct over this case as well.
I think there are 3 women. We're going to find out, just to clarify, if there are 3 women who died. Either way, still unacceptable, but let's need to confirm.
But in terms of the teenage girl, her family say that this has all had a profound effect on her. She was described as a once happy-go-lucky girl who's now turned into a timid recluse who needs therapy, all because of the way that she was treated that day.
All right, Catherine, thank you.
Oh, yeah. What's that? Is that the end of it? What is that?
Elements. The next story.
This one goes into more detail, so I hope you don't mind, family. It's past 10 o'clock.
Distressing. The Metropolitan Police have apologised after a 15-year-old black girl was strip-searched at her school by police officers. Now, she was on her period, which is another distressing element for her of the strip search. The reason that was given at the time was that she was suspected of carrying cannabis. She wasn't.
So, okay, so she wasn't, but would that be a reason for a school to do that and not inform the parents? Interested?
The report stated that racism was likely to have been an
Probably.
influencing factor in the decision.
I suppose it was.
Concluded the search should never have taken.
What does that mean when they say racism was an influencing factor and the police are doing it? Just interesting. And the schools.
Place. Joining us to discuss this further, former Metropolitan Police Superintendent Dal Babu, former teacher Zara Bay, who is also the co-founder of No More Exclusions, and also we have True Pal, who is a parent, joining us on the desk this morning. Good morning to all of you. Dal, if we can start with you, this is such a distressing case. The statement.
Something to think about as well. We're starting a campaign of Black Custodians where we're trying to set up to represent black people in the most constructive way that is in black people's best interests. And I guess one of the roles of the Black Custodians is I guess if they are going to go on mainstream TV, is to make sure that we have the right representation, people who have black people's best interests at heart when they speak, But let's see what happens.
And that the girl released through.
So this would be a perfect place for one to go, I assume.
Her solicitor.
Once we create that paradigm and that particular need and that particular execution, that's what will happen.
Described what she went through. Someone walked into the school where I was supposed to feel safe, took me away from the people who were supposed to protect me, and stripped me naked while on my period. I can't go a single day without wanting to scream, shout, cry, or just give up. I don't know if I'm going to feel normal again, but I do know this can't happen to anyone else ever again. There are other details that we haven't shared that are even more extreme. I wonder, as a former police officer yourself, how this could ever have happened. How police officers.
How could it have happened? Let us know.
Involved.
How do we minimize it?
Ever felt like it was the
completely eradicate it.
Right thing to do to take the students to a separate room where there was no other adult there.
Is that normal? To take a 15-year-old child to a separate room?
And strip search her.
Strip search a student because you thought she had marijuana. Interesting.
Well, it's shocking. It's absolutely appalling. And
it's shocking to them, not to me.
I mean, I've got 2 daughters. The idea that my daughter would come home from school and say that something like this had happened is absolutely appalling. So,
not to black children.
There's absolutely no justification. I think we need to look at the events. I think all the adults in the room involved in this failed.
You see, was a crime committed here? Probably. That's what we should be talking about. So maybe, a way of speaking, like a crime has been committed here. Some of authority has abused their authority, and this has happened. But, we have to unpack that.
The child have failed in safeguarding. And we need to understand why the school felt it necessary to call the police, why they didn't deal with it themselves.
Why indeed?
And then it seems to be quite shocking that the police officers thought it was appropriate to search somebody in that particular way. I mean, I won't go into the graphic details of that, but it's pretty appalling. And
what should have happened? Is there protocol for a moment like this where police are called to a school in order to search a pupil?
Well, the schools, the teachers have significant powers. So under the law, if you find drugs, you can take the drugs and dispose of it and flush it down the loo or something. You don't need to call the police. The police don't need to be involved. So, I mean, I don't know the details of why the police were called, but the police should have had the common sense to say, actually, we're not going to do the search. This is down to you.
As I understand it, an initial search had been done because she had in the report, the teachers thought she smelled of cannabis. They'd done an initial search, just, and not found anything. And then called the police, who thought it was okay to strip search her, Zara.
Yes.
I don't have girls, I have boys, but I can't imagine my 15-year-old what the reaction would be if they came home from school and said, today, I was taken out of an exam.
Absolutely shocking. We'll keep listening. We've still got more to go. Just so you know, guys, we have a brand new Instagram page that we say dedicated to Black Betterment. Please follow it. I'm putting the link in there now. If you have the app Instagram, click and it should take you there. Press follow. We have to get more followers there because we'll be transitioning from my account to the Black Betterment Instagram account as one way to promote the show. But if those who are joining us now, we're talking about the incident where a 15-year-old black female child or girl, I should say, sorry, who was strip searched in school. They believe she smelled of marijuana, and this was a reason for them to strip search her. And we'll see what happens next.
And 2 police officers searched me in this way. I'd be absolutely appalled. Her mum wasn't called. There was no other appropriate adult in the room. The Met Police have apologised, but do you understand how this happened?
My heart is racing just as you describe all of that, because there's definitely re-traumatization here for a number of people involved.
Right.
As a teacher and as a parent and as a human being, I'm appalled that any child
Lots of appalling stuff.
could be treated this way. And in fact,
What is to be done? That is the question we should always be asking ourselves.
no one should be treated this way, but children in particular, and in particular in a place
What they do.
of safety, which is what schools are supposed to be. So I feel beyond, I would say, rage about this. And in terms of your question of how could this have happened, Dal has already talked about the fact that there are a number of systemic failures that happen in this case. And what is important about this case is, first of all, to say how horrific it was, but it was only 1 out of 26 other searches that happened in that borough alone of Hackney in 1 year, intimate searches that involved children. So it is systemic, and out of those 26 searches, 22 led to the police finding nothing. Right?
22, that's quite a lot.
So children have been sexually assaulted for no reason.
And this is what it feels like, I can imagine, is that this was an assault, Dal.
Yeah, I mean, this is, you have legal
sexual assault
parameters before you can carry out searches. If you don't adhere to those legal parameters, then you're assaulting an individual.
And were the legal parameters followed here?
No. I mean, you should have had an appropriate adult. Parents should have been called. You should have had somebody in the room. I mean, I just cannot think. I mean, when I was a schools officer earlier on in my career, I was a custody sergeant. You would authorise strip searches, but they would be in controlled situations, often in the custody cell, and for very, very, very good reasons. I cannot think why you would ever justify searching a 15-year-old child in a school.
True.
Because she's black.
One of the accusations in the report is that the reason that this was done was because she was black. That there was a racist element to this, because young black girls and boys are treated as adults instead of as children.
All over the world this happens.
It's a process called adultification.
Adultification. Now, I said it correctly. I was struggling before. We're going to watch a bit about that in a bit. What is adultification? For those who don't know, or those who know too much, we shall let you know.
And it's done by police towards
people of authority,
young black children.
Absolutely. And firstly, this story has really
this individual is a parent. It says that's why he's on there. He's a parent.
Really broken me. It's one of those stories that you read and you're like, is this real? Am I in a dream? I have a 15-year-old daughter, a 15-year-old black daughter that goes to school.
I suspect she was black, yes.
Before she left for school yesterday morning, I gave her a massive hug and told her to be careful. No conversation that a father should have with their children going to school, and it is because she's black, as you said.
So what we do as well, we spend a lot of time talking about the pain and things are wrong, and this is good. This is first start. But also there is most important question: what is to be done about this stuff? You know, there's what's to be done internally, and what is to be done externally?
These schools adultify our black children.
We get used to highlighting the challenges, but not necessarily highlighting the solutions.
They criminalise our black children, and
big up N1 podcast and IC3. Big up She Reigns. This is She Reigns.
They're not seen as victims. They're seen as adults and they're seen as criminals, which is why they feel that they can justify this ill treatment. I mean, when we think about the parameters of this case, and I will not go into detail about it, but the very fact that both police officers plus the teachers, safeguarding leads, heads, all of those agencies in that space thought that it was appropriate for those police officers to sexually abuse that child.
I mean, you call it sexual abuse, and I
that's what it's called.
understand that. You're calling the strip search a form of sexual abuse.
What's happened there is the kind of minimizing of what actually happened. Kind of could be on code behavior, or maybe it's just automatically in the back of the mind. That's what's happening now.
Yeah.
Zara, how have we got here? And how has this been allowed to happen? I mean, it's not the only case. There are other cases of racism within schools from the authority figures that are there to protect them. I think the thing that is so heartbreaking about this statement, regardless of the detail that we're not sharing, but as she says, someone walked into the school where I was supposed to feel safe, took me away from the people who were supposed to protect me.
All right.
How have we got here?
We haven't got here in a vacuum or overnight, certainly, and I would posit this within a historical context. Black children have always been treated unfairly by the British education system, and I would urge everyone to read Bernard Cord, 1971, how the West Indian child
what is to be done about it?
is made educationally subnormal. A lot of what's in that book still applies today. Disproportionate.
Now, what you ask people that what's to be done with it, most people's solution is you tell the authorities, you know, your campaign, this kind of stuff. That's all good to do that. Also, you recognize the importance of black unity, black love, black economics, building up your own economic base, build up your own kind of defense mechanisms, community work. Black love, I know it sounds like a fairy tale, but actually it's a very good solution, or at least a good contribution to the solution.
Segregated education settings for black children, disproportionate punishment, disproportionate exclusion.
What we will do is we'll find ourselves constantly listing out problems week to week, hoping that the people who do it will stop.
Disproportionate labelling.
Never a good strategy, no sir.
Having mental health and social and emotional problems.
How do we shift that perception? How can we get to the point where this can never happen again?
It's really difficult.
It will.
Because everybody wants.
Not difficult. You can have laws, can't you?
It's a solution. I was talking to your researcher yesterday that in order to change things, we will have to change everything. We have to change our values as a society, the way that we view children in particular.
See, once again, this is whimsical talking, and it's, you know, it's universal, all-inclusive talking. I haven't heard it before. I'm just going on the fly as I hear it. She might, you know, segue to somewhere else. But what I would say is the real question, what superior thinking people, collective groups do, is they realize when they have a consistent barrage of mistreatment, they realize that the solutions forming lifestyles that cater within and that promote the unity of all progressional things in all areas of people activity and all themes to do that. So and making that a strengthening your collective group deliberately. But what we tend to do now is more like pleading for everyone to realize that horrible things are happening and to stop. Let's see if this might not go there, but then again it might.
Black children. We need to be able to afford black children the benefit of innocence, the same way we afford that benefit to all other children.
Dull, would this have happened if a white child smelled of cannabis, do you think?
No, I don't think it would. And I think it's ironic that you're doing, and quite rightly, you're devoting a lot of time on this story. It's ironic that we're talking about this on the day when the government have responded to the Tony Sewell repute, which was literally a whitewash. I gave evidence to the Tony Sewell report. It was like a Fawlty Towers event, and what basically Tony Sewell suggested was that we were beyond that. You know, that black and Asian people didn't need to worry about racism. We've gone beyond that. Actually, this just shows very different. I mean, just imagine if this was a white child in a private school in a sort of a leafy part of the country. This would
wouldn't
never
have happened. It would never happen. Never.
I can't understand as a parent how a strip search could ever be justified.
Racism
Of a 15-year-old child. I mean, is there, Dal, as a former police officer, understanding how police operate, and there are police officers who are at schools.
What I'm going to do, family, I'm going to send out the link for people to jump in who want to speak as we do it. Always welcome. This might be a topic that the community really want to jump in on, so let me not just plan it. I'm going to play this video, then I'll put an edification video afterwards, but let's just listen to what they're saying, just so we can get the full...
Sometimes children do experience things at schools where you would want a police officer to be on site to protect all the children there.
Yeah.
But
please remember, join our new Instagram Betterment building group. It's where we'll be promoting shows now. We'll be moving from my personal account to the Betterment account. Yeah, please do that.
unless somebody was accused or suspected of having a weapon, I can't see how a strip
Blackness is a weapon, it seems.
search would ever be justified on school premises, and certainly not of a child.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, even with the knife situation, you would probably arrest the individual if you felt it was that serious. But teachers have powers. So I think what we need to be doing is not criminalising young people. The teachers have that power. There was absolutely no reason whatsoever for the police to be there. The teachers could have dealt with the powers that they already have.
And what do you think should happen now? This happened 2 years ago. The report's only just come out. The Met Police say the...
Those are joining us now. This is for the report that a 15-year-old black girl was strip searched in a school. Allegedly, they smelled cannabis. They didn't find anything. Yep, 2 years ago. We'll just talk about it now.
strip search was truly regrettable, and they have
Big up.
apologised.
Big up, Kushti.
Is that enough, Zara?
It's not enough. Things have to change. That's what we...
Things have to change. Once again, we, as a black community, we want to minimize talking to our community, maximize talking within, and black love, black economics, black solidarity, all these fantastic things. A united, I guess, front against anything is a very important concept. Look within for solutions, power up your group so you can have more say, more power, more prominence. No one will say this. Most people talk about pleading to the group who are mistreating you. It doesn't really work, but maybe it might change. Who knows?
really want.
But
And I
does
think-
something have to change in this case with these officers or this unit?
No, we're talking about the child has said herself when they asked her in the review, in her own voice, with her own words, what would you like to happen? And she said, what I would like to happen is for this to never happen again.
Yeah.
So she's not asking for revenge or retribution.
Yeah.
You've got a very articulate child saying,
We should maybe. Someone needs to be punished.
Yeah.
actually, what...
So that's the thing. People have broken the law. They've sexually assaulted someone. They should be punished. That's really part of how justice works.
would be justice if this was
I read they said they've done the reports and racism was a factor.
never to happen to any other child again.
So we have to punish.
No strips. I mean, it surely
Really,
goes
what
without
we say
saying.
is that we don't want police in school, with all due respect, because you bring an inherently
Punish the police who did this. Make an example of them.
institutionally racist institution into an also institutionally racist
Also find the school.
institution, which is the education system, and you've got a cocktail,
Names.
you know, a very toxic cocktail, I would say.
I mean, I suppose this is going to have massive...
So we also talk about Black Custodians. There are two, I believe, black community-based people here. And, very good. They're on the side of trying to, talk about harsh things. But we want to think of a way of, can we mold and sculpt a person dedicated to speaking on black behalf who will bring up the issues that are most necessary. Hence, we're talking about the Black Custodian program of how we pick this and the rule sets and what we want. Just so whenever there are these shows, we will more likely push those people who might be more justice-based and accountability-based. But well done to the brother and sister on the show.
Impact
Yeah.
around the whole debate about police in schools. I think police in schools are a good thing. I was the schools officer. You're there to help and safeguard.
Just to point out, the police officers who conducted this strip search were not the school's police officers.
No.
They were called from outside of the school.
The Met Police have said that the strip and search was, as Susanna pointed out, truly regrettable and apologised to the child concerned with her family and the wider community. They added that
a lot of apologies. That's another thing. Get used to apologies, guys. But we need punishment. Yeah, punishment will actually make people think twice about mistreating and practicing racism. Trust me, it works.
it was right that the actions of the officers are held to scrutiny and welcome.
Scrutiny.
And the review.
True, what would you like to see happen?
Not scrutiny. No, we want punishment, don't we? We want fines, punishment, people to lose work and names and all that good stuff. Practicing racism, never good on children.
I would like to see the officers involved sacked. I would also like to see the teachers and anybody that was involved in the case sacked. I don't want to hear the words regrettable. I want to hear the words unacceptable. We need to have a zero tolerance to this beast
Pick up the brother for that statement.
of racism, particularly when it pertains to our children, because right now our black children are not safe going into these schools when we have teachers and police officers who abuse their authority in that manner, so they need to go.
And colluding?
Yeah.
The idea as well that her classmates saw this happen, heard about it, and then they're having to go to school where those teachers allowed that to happen.
Exactly.
It felt like that was the right thing to do, that they were... It's just terrifying.
I just want to say to all the black girls out there who are going to school right now, fear not. You know, we are rooting for you and we're there for you. And honestly, I could imagine the anxiety and the worry that they have going into schools right now today. But just be fearful.
All right. Now, mentioned in the actual report there was the concept of adultification. Adultification. Hard word to say. Try saying that 20 times very fast. Yeah. Adultification. Anyway. So we got a small thing about what that is. It seems to happen to black children consistently, especially in this case, black girls. Let's have a sneak peek behind the boutique. Go!
Years old.
Rewind.
This is known as a...
Also, family, the link's out there. If anyone should jump in, just click on the link and you can jump in and add your 10 pence piece.
In the United States, adults view black girls as less innocent
Also now in the UK, it seems.
and more adult-like than their white peers, starting as young as 5 years old.
Oh, dear.
This is known as adultification bias.
Adultification bias. Remember the word? Remember, it's hard to pronounce, but important to know.
A groundbreaking study by Georgetown Law Center on poverty and inequality found that adults believe black girls need less nurturing, less protection, less support, and less comforting. And related studies show that black girls are punished at a disproportionate rate in schools and the juvenile justice system. These statistics reveal an alarming reality. But do they reflect the experiences of black girls and women? We conducted focus groups across the country to hear about their lived experiences. They told us that black girls often face higher standards.
I feel like you cannot make mistakes as a black girl.
All kids make mistakes, but in similar situations, black girls are treated differently. A white girl's mistakes might be met with sympathy and understanding. But time after time, black girls are punished instead because they are held to a more adult standard of behavior.
Everybody says, oh, you should have known better. They're not even acting like we're children.
Those different standards may be...
Are you a black woman who was a black girl? Did you go through a similar thing? As your daughters or nieces complain about this, let us know. Link in the group. Also, texts by the side. Let us know.
linked to harsher treatment for black girls. We heard stories about adults holding black girls more accountable for their actions.
During a Foursquare game at school, one of the balls hit a girl in the face. They just threw assault and battery on my record. I had to transfer to a different school, but the other school didn't want to take me because I had assault and battery on my record.
In our focus groups, they overwhelmingly agreed that adultification bias is associated with punitive treatment. Negative stereotypes of black women are also projected onto black girls, which can contribute to adultification bias. Focus group participants overwhelmingly confirmed that even when they were young, adults viewed them as less innocent than their white peers.
There was this assumption that you're cussing people out, drinking, and having sex. But since I never thought about that before, they were basically introducing me to those topics right then.
In 6th grade, the school nurse asked my aunt if I was sexually active. And I was like, at the time, like, what? Nobody has sex. Like, I didn't know anyone that had sex. She would never think to ask my white friend that.
Black women and girls also told us that adults stereotype them as too loud, aggressive, or angry, and see Black girls' actions as threatening and disrespectful. Adultification bias erases the distinction between childhood and adulthood, which can have a harmful impact on the lives of Black girls. We need to work together to end adultification bias. These findings in our new study provide key insights into the lived experiences of Black girls and an inspiration to drive change. We are committed to raising awareness and promoting the need for cultural competency training and age-appropriate treatment of Black girls so they can have a childhood in a safe, supportive, and nurturing environment where they can dream, lead, and thrive.
As Black girls, we still need to be protected. It doesn't matter if we're Black or not.
Be part of the change.
Okay, there you go. Right. The link's out there. This is the one more lady's explanation from the UK.
But
rewind, only 1 minute.
I'm distressed, as we all should be, but not surprised.
All right.
I think sometimes what I notice, and definitely what I've seen through the work at Listen Up, is this level of sensationalization when something significant or something which is deemed as significant happens, rather than an acknowledgement of the everyday racist, racialized experiences Black children have to navigate and encounter across all systems and services. When we think about adultification, what you have to see is what are the foundations, what are the preconditions of adultification? First and foremost, racism and discrimination, various different societal attitudes and beliefs. Now, using Black children as an example, we can say that we know, due to historical narratives and tropes rooted within slavery and colonialism, we still see how Black children are described and caricatured as being angry, deviant, hypersexual, having this kind of innate, strength. All of those things that plays out in the various different stereotypes, such as the angry Black woman, the strong Black woman, the deviant, Black male, that gang member, all of those things. And by doing that, what we then do is erase and overlook the fact that ultimately we are talking about children. We are enforcing our own beliefs and attitudes individually as well as structurally on how we perceive them as deserving and undeserving victims. So if we ultimately dehumanize children, which is what adultification does, it will then impact on how we go about our safeguarding duties. It impacts on how we frame them, and it impacts on how far we go to use our own professional and organizational curiosity to go that bit further to understand what they're experiencing.
Thank you very much. I hope that wasn't copyright needed. Welcome, Empress Kushti, to the show. Thank you very much for joining.
That's not bad.
Now, give me 4 seconds. Welcome. I'm just going to see if I can try to fix something. Let's see if I can. Oh, hold on. Share screen. Hopefully it'll work this time. I bet it won't. No, it doesn't. Great. All right, cool. We'll use the old one. Oh, where's it gone? Is it gone? Oh, there we go. Always the same, isn't it? All right, share screen. We'll go back to the old way. La da 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 da. Ah, where is it gone? Still here though. There we go. I think it's that one. I'll have to use it this old school way. Sorry about that. All right, welcome. Yeah. So yeah. So like I said, we're guys, the link's in there. If anyone wants to jump in, but we are tackling how best can we protect Black children from racialized mistreatment, with the emphasis on Black girls this week, with the case of Kid Q, as they're saying it, being mistreated in her school and strip search by the police. So,
Yeah.
Empress Christie, do you have anything you'd like to say on this before we really get into it?
Yeah, I mean, the incident that has happened to the young girl is just shocking, and you know, I'm sure a lot of our hearts go out to her and her family for what they're experiencing at the moment. But the video that you played just now was a really good video, bro. I just thought that was really good because I've not seen something really break down, you know, or something like that. So it was a really good video. It should be more worlds spreaded more. But I just feel that, you know, had a bit of a mind blank. What was the topic name? How to protect our children.
How best, yeah. But to be honest with you, at this point, you could talk about anything related to the whole. So you don't, because we might not have the solutions now, but you could talk about your feelings. You talk about awareness, stories of similar, maybe anything you want around about the, young girls being mistreated, as well as like the whole edification, this kind of process, whatever.
Yeah,
Whatever.
I mean, just my feeling is just rage, to be honest. Initially, and that was just when I had the sanitized PC version of it. And there's a report. Also, family, there's a petition that's out, and if everyone can sign that, it's already gaining traction. But if anyone hasn't signed it, please do sign it. We'll post it in a second. I'll get that up. So that's important to do. I just kind of think, yeah, initially it was just rage. But then once I saw what really went down, and I read up a bit more, because this is what's frustrating as well, is that the media is given a very palatable version of what's going on. And I understand that we also have to be aware that the young girl is now going through a second time trauma 2 years on. 2 years on. Now everybody knows. And we know that the school in Hackney, it's quite easy to find out what school it is. Thank God people are still respecting her identity. And it's good to see that even in her school, they were protesting today and making a stand. And the protest that I've seen that was going on today looks amazing. But I definitely suggest everybody to read the report, because once you read that report, it really does go in depth. It's only about 46 pages. And what went on to that girl was sexual assault. She was sexually assaulted by police officers, 4 police officers. So I think at this point, I really realized how low we are. We always say things like, we're at the bottom of every list, and, everywhere you go, we're treated bad. And I was very aware of that. But when I read what happened to this girl, I actually realized how really weak we are, powerless we are to them, to think that they can even do this to our kids, because this is not one incident.
No.
So I'm not sure if you've already done the statistic, but they've said that in the borough of Hackney and Tower Hamlets, this kind of practice has been done 25 times.
Yeah.
So to kids, to children, underage children.
And 22 came back, nothing. So yeah.
Yeah. And 2 of the 25 were white.
Right.
Kids.
Yes. Yeah. So this is overwhelming data.
Yeah. Shocking.
Yeah.
That our kids are getting traumatized, violated, molested, sexually assaulted.
Yes. Yes.
It's so shocking. And
by authorities. This is the
so-called authorities, that when every time you work, your national insurance is paid for them. You've paid for an institution that's supposed to look after your kids, that has failed the kids, and you pay for the police to come and molest your child.
Yep. This is what's happening. And it's interesting that this saying that racism was a factor, this kind of stuff. They just had the report that there was no racism that they could find in the institution of the police, whatever. But it seems that as time by, they're finding some of the stuff they missed, I guess. But once again, it is shocking. The training that I'm trying to give the community is we should be angry. I get that, and it makes sense for us to be angry to hear this news. But really, this is the shocking part. You should expect it. And when we listen there, we want to try to minimize the pleading to other communities, and more so focus energy on building our community, as in trying to be self-sufficient as much as possible. I know it seems alien. This thought seems very alien now, but I can assure you it actually is the best solution for mistreatment. Having your own defense, your own liability, your own dependabilities, doing anything within
sovereignty.
There you go. So it's very important, and unfortunately, as much as I don't like these reports, I have to collate them to make a list just to show what is happening, to help motivate why it is necessary for us to come together and do these acts. Really, I think if you cannot protect your children, then I'm not too sure what else there is in the world, really. So yeah, this is quite shocking.
I mean, that's true, and when I saw this, I was really thinking, what would it take if this doesn't move us? What would it take? Because it just felt very silent at one point. But there's a petition going on at the moment. You've had Forever Family go down there. You've had the kids in the school protesting. It looked like people were saying there was up to 2,000 people who went to the march today. There's another march on Sunday at 1 p.m. So, there is progress. I like that this is swift, this is fast, initially, because all we can judge it on for what I see now, it's very nice, very uniform. I saw that Sister Space went down there, and really grassroots fundamental organizations were there. It didn't seem that it was a camera op with all of the people there, so it was nice to see. And I more speed to all of the organizations out there doing that, and any way that we can support, we should be supporting.
Definitely.
But,
question from Dr. Smith. You might be able to answer this. Was there females there by any chance? As far as I'm aware, they all were females, but I could be wrong. Am I wrong?
2 men and 2 women.
What about in the strip search? Was it just females for the strip search, or was there men there as well?
They were taken to a room where the police officers were in the room. This is what I've read, and this is how it's written. The police officers were in the room. First, they told us there was 2 men and 2 women. 4 police officers. Right. 4 police officers had to take the child into an isolated room where the parents could not, where the teachers waited outside of the room. And that's where she had to strip search.
So the strip search was in front of 2 females, is that right?
2 females and 2 males.
Really?
All officers, yeah, I think so, yeah.
We won't get that confirmed, because then once again, that's there's so many twists and turns in this. But if that's the case, then if that doesn't cause an actual riot, I don't know what would. Like the sexual assault from 2 females is bad enough.
When I've read it, I've read 2 females in the papers, right? But I've been told that it's different in the report. So I'm going to get the report. I'm going to send the report in the link. So we must all do our own research.
Yes.
So, and I'll get all of that up for the family. And if I can speed read, the link's in there, family. So if anyone could jump in, I'll speed read to the point where I can try and find it, and hopefully we can read it together on air. But yeah, I'll get that up for you, bro.
All right, nice. Oh dear, this is when it comes to children, there should be things that really make people come together. And I think the defense of children has to be the priority, especially the most vulnerable girls as well, especially in this kind of situation. you don't want to make a bad story worse, but and sometimes stories can't get worse. But if it is true that there were men involved, that then that's adds that's not even the icing on the cake. That's just the complete kind of like yeah, that's not cool at all. And once again, when we listen to the people speaking on the shows, you know, a lot of feel good stuff, but actually punishment is what we want. You won't be punished for breaking the law, because they were going to punish the young child for breaking the law. That's why they were there. They need to punish the child for breaking the law as they saw it, and they believe that what they were doing all made sense, all that kind of stuff. Because you know, if they and the question, an interesting question we would ask is, let's just say that this individual child actually did have marijuana. Would that justify what they did? You see, I don't think so. You see, that's interesting, isn't it? That even if she did, it wouldn't justify it. It's complete overkill, and it seems to only happen to black children in this case, in this context. I wouldn't be surprised if Miguel was the same age as this child in a different environment, different social background, different schooling, might just smoke weed every lunch. Who knows? And it's not really an issue there, but there seems to be an issue. Let's see, Dominic said if they found no drugs on her and couldn't smell it, then what grounds did they have to search her? Well, they're saying that it is a racist motivation, apparently. And that's we before some of the guys might have joined there. We showed the word that I'm going to struggle to pronounce, which is adultification. Said it wrong, but that's how life is. And let me click on that word again. Let's see if we start again. Hold on. Rewind. You see, adultification.
In the United States, adults view black girls as less innocent and more adult-like than their white peers, starting as young as 5 years old.
And what's that called?
This is known as adultification.
Adultification. I struggle, but I'm sure you don't. I've got some problems there, but that's my problem. Adultification. There you go. All right. So yeah, so that's what we believe has been happening, or we understand to be happening. No belief there really, and it happens all across the world. And it is a byproduct of racism, white supremacy, and this kind of stuff. But but once again, it's how to deal with it. Yeah, how do we deal with it? And I'm saying we focus within, and we build up our collective group, and we definitely try to use these infos, this information and data as the motivational causes of why there's a value in having black love, black economics, black all the other blacks you can think of. There you go. Inward solutions. All right. Now the link is there, family. If anyone wants to join in, by all means, click on it and jump in. If I flick back to the thing, we are how best can we protect black children from racialized mistreatment? And we're trying to think of what could we do? What is what is the solutions? We have Forever Family brother Respect going out there trying to investigate. Big up him. And also the Forever Family Collective. Amazing work there. But what can we do? If you have a child, what do you do when you send to school? Like, it's interesting because you tend to find these sort of situations you might get in the form of victim blaming. And we never want to do victim blaming, but one of the problems we always have to face is like having to be extra cautious. So, for example, in the whole in America, the Trayvon Martin situation and all the surrounding kind of situations, that you would have parents saying that they'll ban their children from wearing hoodies. So that's once again, you could say that's blaming victims, but it was so fearful of the realities and so aware that people would rather forsake their own freedoms and their comforts just to heavily minimize being accidentally assaulted, killed, or just mistreated. And it's like, so the goal is, okay, they were looking for marijuana. So now I suspect the parents will be telling their children not to go anywhere near any kind of smoke of any kind. All right, we have a link in the group there, family. I don't know if you can actually copy and paste it, but there you go. I don't think you can click on it because it's a PDF. Oh, it's a PDF, is it? Oh, it's a PDF. Right, okay. Okay, cool.
Oh, you can't click on it because it's a PDF.
Let me
send it to you. Should I send it to you then?
You can see it. So you send it to me just so I have it. You've got it, and I'm wondering how. Yeah, even if I was supposed to hear, they won't be able to get it, sadly. But it'll be good for me to have.
I'll send it to you, but you can find this. You can just Google this. It's so easy to find.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I'm still going through it, but I just think that we'll just keep it for now that it was the females, not just to add rage. And regardless, like I said, the stuff that they've done to her in that room was just shocking.
Yes.
She wasn't able to go to the bathroom and change herself. They sent her back in the after they searched her, they made her then go and do her an exam straight after that ordeal.
Really?
Yeah, that's facts, right?
Oh damn.
So I mean, it's like there's a lot to this, and it sounds like there's even more worse things going on as well. So I just think that there's going to be a lot more to come out of this, and I just commend the family for allowing this to be to light, and for us to all see this, because it's shocking.
So I'm reading here, a search involving removal of more than one outer coat or jacket, gloves, headgear, or footwear, or any other item concealing identity may only be made by an officer of the same sex as the person searched, and may not be made in the presence of anyone of the opposite sex unless the person being searched specifically requests it. That's what. So I don't know if they're setting the premise when I'm reading this report here.
Well, that's good so far.
So that's saying that's what it should be. So I don't know if that's what it is, but that's what the law is when it comes to strip search.
Yeah, that's what you'd expect, to be honest with you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. That's why I was just thinking that we should talk on that premises until we know. But it's just, I don't know. I think that this just goes down to this will continuously happen until we have something that ensures that this stops happening. You know?
Yeah.
Because it's the poor girl is literally traumatized as well. She's self-harming, and it's really affecting her. So it's.
I can imagine, and it's this is just one story of many. This is the one that's come, and unfortunately, this is the reality of young children, where what happens is there's an expectation that there's something they're not, and then they're treated a certain way to what they are not. But because of that treatment and that constant treatment, they then become what they're accused of. So they then become hardened. They then become disconnected.
Yeah.
They then go down the route of these things. And I think there was even a woman who mentioned that in one of the reports just there, in some kind of similar way. And it's so it's this kind of like, it's almost a form of reverse grooming. I don't know. I don't know how you could even say that, but it's like, it's once again, this is something that we have to be very serious about. And there was a comment in there by Manchester Bay M15. Parents don't even want to protect their kids, so how do you expect other races to respect them? Let's be honest. Well, the Kumbaya crew are always saying there's no racism in the country. Okay, there you go. So thoughts of Manchester Boy. So I know it's sometimes there has to be a simple premise, and I think for me the simplest premise is, how do we market and promote Black Betterment? I mean, it's just the reasons why I set out to do this is now. It's like the more connected we are, the more assets we have, the more institutions, the more gelled we are on singular ideas of betterment, the more we can actually mobilize and get together better and sort out these stuff and protect. And maybe some solutions might be different. Maybe different schooling altogether. Maybe, I don't know. This is something that we have to come to the table and discuss how best to protect the children. I do not have all the answers. But then again, in the same question is, this week we talk about the need for Black custodians and how to create them. And essentially, a community of Black custodians, who are dedicated to solution finding for Black people. This seems to be more of a need now. This is when it comes to on the show, and you have people going on to talk about what to do. It'll be very interesting if a Black person went on there, and then what they actually were talking about was in community solutions, like what do we do to defend ourselves in a better way, rather than what do we do to tell people who's mistreating us that the mistreatment hurts quite a lot, that kind of stuff. There's no question. I think we need to teach our children or young ones the law so we are not taken advantage of. Yes, this is knowing your rights is important. That's the point, knowing your rights. Once again, you have I don't know the backlog or the backstory of what happened. The child Q. Don't know what their expectation was. But 15 years old, there's no 15 years old I know, especially if they're not really associated with that kind of lifestyle in any kind of way. They'll be completely bamboozled if they're taken and strip search. But once again, I don't know the context, but it seems like anywhere on paper, it's just a no. Once again, punishment is important. Let's see if the lady spoke about that. Let's see if this lady spoke about punishment. Hold on.
Just fear not.
Let's skip. Let's go to the Fantastic Woman. There's a black brother talking about what he's talking about.
Of the detail.
Let's go. There we go. Let's see if she spoke.
Of innocence, the same way we afford that benefit to all other children.
Dull, would this have happened if a white child?
So I think what we want to do now as a community is imagine we are creating a people group, a ranking system, a kind of collective idea where someone goes on these platforms when they're invited, and they're the number one choice. And what do you want them to say? That's important that we actually get what a black person can say when they go on there. Let's see if this woman might jog on of stuff we want to hear and not want to hear.
Smelled of cannabis, do you think?
No, I don't think it would. And I think it's ironic that you're doing, and quite rightly, you're devoting a lot of time on this story.
Hold on, where are you, my friend? Where's this Fantastic Woman? They want to hear the Asian brother. I want to hear the black sister. Where are you? Didn't really give her much to say. Yeah, let's see what she says now. She's been given more time.
The powers that they already have.
What do you think should happen now? This happened 2 years.
Very interesting question there. What do you think should happen now? Let's see what the response is, family.
Years ago, the report's only just come out. The Met Police.
What should happen for what they have described as sexual assault and racial and racist behavior, whatever.
Say the strip search was truly regrettable.
Strip search, regrettable, interesting words. Sexual assault.
And they have apologised. Is that enough?
For black people, it normally is, but should it be?
Sarah?
It's not enough.
It's not enough. Let's see what she wants.
Things have to change.
Things have to change. Okay.
That's what we really want.
But
that's what we really want. Is it?
Something have to change in this case with these officers or this unit?
No, we're talking about the child has said herself when they asked her in the review, in her own voice, with her own words, what would you like to happen? And she said, what I would like to happen is for this to never happen again.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a training there. We don't really want to do that, as in some people have mistreated me and I want to make sure that it doesn't happen to anyone again. I get that. How we might be able to do that is by actually punishing the people who did it, fully hitting them where it hurts with their work and their finance. So let's see what else she says.
So she's not asking for revenge or retribution. Yeah. You've got a very articulate child saying actually what would be justice if this was never to happen to any other child again.
Yeah, no strips. I mean, it surely
really
goes without
what we
saying.
say is that we don't want police in school, with all due respect.
Yeah. We don't want police in school.
Because you bring an inherently
full due respect
institutionally racist institution into an also institutionally racist institution, which is the education system, and you've got a cocktail, a very toxic cocktail.
So that's what I'm saying. It's interesting that as a people group, we talk about what, let's say that what we say we believe. We talk about a school institution that's racist, we talk about the police that's racist, and obviously it's incident and stuff. But yeah, we don't really talk about how, as a community, what are the choices we make to guarantee more protection from that. It's very interesting. Very interesting.
So I would say.
I mean, I suppose this is going to have massive impact around the whole debate about police in schools. I think police in schools are a good thing. I was the schools officer. You're there to help and safeguard.
Just to point out, the police officers who conducted this strip search were not the school's police officers.
No.
They were called from outside of the school.
The Met Police have said that the strip and search was, as Susanna pointed out, truly regrettable, and apologised to the child concerned with her family and the wider community. They added that it was right that the actions of the officers are held to scrutiny and welcomed the review.
True, what would you...
Welcome the review, held to scrutiny, all right. Okay.
I think it's just so interesting that, the way that they make it so It's a very nice version of what has happened, you know, because it's extreme. Like, for example, they've been showing us pictures of women or pregnant women and babies getting bombed in Ukraine in order to generate some sort of information in you that you from another country will give up your home for strangers to come into your house. They understand the importance of how they show a message. This happened 2 years ago, 2020, 6 months after everything kicked off with Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
There's no coincidence in things, you know.
Yep. Cover that well. I wouldn't be surprised if the sentiment and feelings of Black people marching might have heightened racist motivations to mistreat Black people. You see, this is some things we don't
exactly.
Exactly.
So this was exactly that, because remember, it was mainly youths out on the road.
Yes.
As well.
Yes.
So you can imagine all of that pent up hatred and resentment.
Yes.
And then you're getting called out to go and see a Black schoolgirl in a school in Hackney.
Yeah, especially there are police officers who just to chant Black Lives Matter offends them. You know.
Exactly.
You know, it offends them great, and hence why in America and I guess across the world now, you had the rebuttal, which was Blue Lives Matter, and
exactly,
and that kind of dynamic there. Never good. Very interesting. Now, family, the link is out there. If anyone wants you to jump in, you can. Yeah, we're joined by beloved guest Empress Kushti, who thanks us for we brought up the topic and for us to tackle it. And it's something that we're going to be monitoring and doing. One of the solutions that we are thinking about, is obviously where we are solution driven here, is we are thinking of using the community to create certain rule sets and guidelines to create something that we are calling the Black Custodians. So we just want publicly or just in general to have Black people who are dedicated to helping Black people and are more in tune with the needs and wants of the Black community. And we're using Black Betterment, the lifestyle, as our starting post. Now, what we said before is, if I can say it. So, just for those who don't know, let's break it down.
I just want to clarify. I think it's women who searched the lady. I think it was just the women officers.
Which is bad anyway.
Because they that's a point to say, because there was no persons of interest or an adult present.
Yeah.
No. All of the stuff that happened, regardless, is terrible.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, the story can only get worse. As in, like, there's no redeeming. From what we know, there's no redeeming factors. Like, oh, okay, that makes it better. It generally is most unfortunate. I'm not happy about it, but I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Unfortunately, I'm well aware of how Black children are perceived to once again be able to take more pain, need less comfort and loving, and also are viewed to be adults, and also even some cases feel that maybe they deserve it. At some points, right? Many of these things flow around. Yeah, it's once again, it isn't healthy to focus on how non-Black people perceive Black people and how they use their institutions to mistreat. It's about how do you pull together your small amount of resources and try to create solutions. That's why when you hear us rave on about Black love and this stuff, it sounds like, what is that even about? How is it about? You need a starting foundation, and that is, how do you start institutions and foundations that are stayed long-term dedicated to help Black people? Big up Sister Tash, very wonderful sister. Hopefully, if she all can join in, we're talking about young girls being mistreated in institutions, as we're talking about the story of child Q and being strip-searched by the police for allegedly smelling of marijuana that warranted her to be stripped and this kind of stuff. Never good. Also, where we were before was we're talking about, okay, we are contemplating and talking about having a designation position in the community where we have what we're calling the Black Custodians. And with the Black Custodians, we're looking at a Black person chosen by Black betterers to publicly represent the collective best interests of Black people. So, for example, how we can segue that into this particular situation is the Black custodians will go to the school. They'll go talk to the family. They'll have databases of this stuff going on. They're also, if they are willing to go on European media base to talk, they will go and represent the issue more clearly, be more firm in what they're trying to achieve. When question asks, what should be done, there'll be, all the community requires will be pushed forward, like punishment, never happen again, laws changing, compensation, everything, the whole shebang, the full Monty, all that good stuff. Rather than just the common like pleading and we have to educate. This concept of where a child is being sexually assaulted and mistreated for something they haven't done, and it's consistent, and saying what we have to do is we have to give training to make them understand the pain they give, and we're all the same, that kind of stuff. Yeah, make that. I would say it's probably best to make that secondary. I think if you punish them, they'll learn. It seems to have. It's almost like they don't go to murderers and rapists in the street and go, well, we need to really explain to them that, when you kill someone, you rape someone, this is like very bad. It's like, it's just, people don't like it. And, they don't really, they're thrown in jail, don't they? And I think, that's kind of, something we have to understand. Why is it that when there's certain Black children involved, it's that we need to educate the criminals? It is what it is, but like I was saying, back to the Black Custodians. So what we were talking about a few weeks ago, and this is for we always talk back and forth so that the family viewing can jump in and offer advice and hear and those kind of stuff. A few weeks ago we were talking about, okay, when we're creating Black Custodians, we wanna be thinking about rather than have someone who becomes a Black Custodian straight away represent all Black issues, the public eye, and that kind of stuff. Maybe we could have a chart system or a kind of belt system or a star system that every person who decides they want to be a Black custodian, represent Black issues publicly, whatever, has to go through. And we talked about a white star, a yellow star, brown star, Black star, and obviously the Black star is the master star. That's the one we want to achieve. And maybe as a community, we say that we only want Black star, Black custodians, or Blacks there, to represent Black issues, so that way we understand that someone has been tried and tested, baptized in fire, and is seasoned in the needs and wants of Black people. So when they go on, it's like, yeah, we know this person, he's from the community, he does, he or she, I should say, has done what he needs to do. And I think we were speaking last week, and I read it up, but we can refine it as we go by, that in such a system where a person wants to actually become a Black custodian, and they come just like if you're a judo person, you come in and you have to get your white belt. How you even start by becoming one, a white star, white belt custodian, is openly confess to Black people of the world you want to be a custodian and agree to the code of custodians. Now we're going to write the code of custodians.
Does the yellow star have 2 paragraphs?
It does.
Okay, that's like, is that a star that I can't see?
Yeah, the invisible star. It's like a hidden star. No, it's 2. But what I was saying is we are going to go for the code of custodians. Like, so what a person has to do is openly confess this to the Black people or to the world, and then they agree to the code. So that is your white belt thing. That means any person can actually start and become a white star code custodian. Now we have to think of what do we want that code to be, and I'm recommending, I think I put down the other day just certain agreements. I don't know if I read all. Where is it? And I said, like, the agreements and practicing of Black love, Black economics, Black defense, Black health, Black ownership, Black centeredness, Black collectiveness, Black expertise, Black politeness, and Black constructiveness. It's just, and this stuff gets expanded and we'll add to it, and that good stuff there. But this is just a starting point, as in, like, okay, the code will be made up of that kind of concept, but in a more refined way. I should have put these closer together, but I did not. Anyway, so yeah, so that's your open. So you come in, you confess that, you get your white star. All right, confess and practice that, you get your white star. Now, yellow star is you've joined an institution or collective idea that is actively dedicated to Black betterment. So let's say there's some kind of institution that is doing something for Black people. That's good. You join it. And then we also mentioned about something else that might be equally as important is you consistently fund an institution or collective idea that is dedicated to Black betterment. So, for example, maybe you don't directly join an institution that goes into schools and challenges racism, or you create an institution that teaches Black people how to farm or what it might be. But what you do is you fund it. You're actually working, and a big, I'm going to say big, a consistent payment is going in, and by paying and putting your money where your mouth is, as a quote, you then can be given your yellow star as a Black custodian. This is something that you do, and after a certain amount of time, it's been acknowledged and accepted. We go, this sister, this brother here, he's a yellow star Black custodian. He or she's really, showing that the money they make. There was always an argument that people don't have enough money, and that's the truth. Money is quite hard. But then I think Brother Kel was talking a few months back or weeks back. You might have Netflix, you might have these other Amazon Prime, you might have some video game kind of subscription, I don't know. But yeah, so if you have enough to give 10, 20, 30 pounds a month, then maybe you have that to give to a dedicated Black Betterment organization, and that shows that you are worthy of a yellow star, it looks like. Now moving to the Browns, getting that kind of that getting close to where we're trying to get. What is it? The Brown is within an institution or collective idea, you demonstrate great leadership or achievement. So that means once you've joined these kind of groups, you actually demonstrate that you're actually quite amazing in them. So you join the group and you actually demonstrate quite a high amount of ability, and you're making a difference, and people are aware like this individual really is making a difference. And then that means in that organization, whether it is as a community, we give you a brown. Well done. Then we have the Black Star. Now, you have created or lead within an institution or a collective idea that is actively dedicated to Black betterment. So I guess you are the creator of an institution. You've put your money, your time, your effort into creating one, or as well, when you're within an actual institution, you become the leadership. Because of your dedication, you move up in the ranks. And so you've joined some, but now you are a head leader because you've demonstrated it, and one would assume you would then go from a brown to a Black in that scenario. But once again, we can refine, how best this works. But this is just an idea, as many things are. They start as ideas and then become reality.
So, can a white star person be a custodian?
Well, what we're saying is, they are custodians in the same sense that a judo practitioner, when they walk into a judo gym and pay the fee and start training, is a white belt. So they are a judo practitioner. However, they wouldn't be permitted to represent that gym, i.e. Black people, on a public place because they're still in that kind of development stage. Ultimately, the only ones who will actually be officially called custodians, they're all custodians, but having a rank system, it's like if there's a kung fu tournament and they turn up, when you see the brown belt, you're aware, oh, he's a brown belt. So you give him props as a brown belt, her props as a brown belt, but
what would the role of a white star do then? If they wouldn't be front facing, what would they be doing?
Well, that's the thing. Honestly, it would actually more be of like the starting point of the journey to become that. You see? Okay. So because some people off the bat are gonna, just because of their history, be promoted to a Black Star, because if someone's been doing it and now this new concept's introduced, they're gonna qualify for it. Like this he's already got 10 institutions. He's talking so well. He understands the code of whatever. He agrees to it. Black Star. But there's some people who might have amazing orator skills or amazing whatever, but they're new to the concept and they have to go through they have to join the collective. They have to demonstrate consistency. But just them admitting they want to do something in itself is a new thing, But that's another thing, It's actually very challenging for Black people to admit publicly that they want to help Black people. You might laugh at it now, but yeah, this is actually a thing. I've come across many people who come to me and say, is it okay if we never mention Black people when we help Black people? So already that needs to be fixed.
Yeah, it's a bit worrying.
It's very worrying. And once again, what motivates this? What motivates this is usually people join maybe a religious group or a social group. And in that social group, they're fed kumbayaism. and it's like everyone's equal, this kind of stuff, and even though everyone's not equal, and what happens is, you know, the word black, or the word African, but let's use the word black now because it's much more poignant. Whatever. The word black then becomes demonized. So you're allowed to have people groups based upon homosexuality, people groups based upon the gender you were born with or the gender you identify with, people groups based upon your religion, people groups based upon anything but black. Once again, I push forward. This is part of the mistreatment. What you do is you identify a group, you mistreat them, you marginalize them, you make sure they cannot operate, and then you put in a code to make sure that the actual fixing of that incident is against the law, shunned, belittled, and that's what's happened. It's still part of the process of mistreatment of black people, and it's very successful. It's very effective. But the solution is to actually go, no, we're going to we're going to use these words to galvanize and come together to form solutions, and we're going to form institutions, we're going to form ways of life and codes of conducts to stay dedicated and reverse the years of mistreatment that black people have gone through. It's interesting because when people talk about adultification, the word that I struggle to pronounce, if you listen to all these news articles and people speaking, it's a very matter of fact way of they go, yes, black people are mistreated. We know this, and this is how they present it. Like, we know this is almost expected, and this is what happens when you go through something for such a long time. It becomes normalized, it becomes culturalized, it becomes expected, and it's just Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So that's why you cannot rely on those who benefit from your mistreatment and those who do your mistreatment to really rally together and actually do anything beneficial. You have to do it yourself, but that has to mean something. And the way I say that means something is the word black economics, black betterment, and black love. Those three things there, yeah, if we all practice that, there will be a difference. And now we're trying to find even better ways to market that and make that make more sense. Hence why we're talking about the Black Custodian designation. It's a designation. Let's get that word right. The custodian is a designation. Work on your English, please. The action of choosing someone to hold an office or post. So we're essentially, as a community, going, here's what we need to for someone to represent our needs, and here's what they have to go for. And we have just read out a star system. So it's just rough thing there for us to focus on, of what we want. And hopefully these things in a more simple form will help align people to stay dedicated to helping black people. Let's go through them again. The white star: openly confess to black people or the world you want to be a custodian and agree to the code of custodians. We're going to write what that means. But whatever we write, it means that person will struggle to be unsynchronized because it's all the things we need, i.e. black love, black economics, all that good stuff. So people have to confess that, which is nice. Then the yellow star, which is one above, is you've joined an institution or collective idea that's collectively dedicated to black betterment. So that means you've joined something, and also you consistently fund the institution or collective idea that is dedicated to black betterment. So you could fund something, Patreon, all that good stuff, consistently, not one off. That doesn't count. It's something that you would, just like you're going to pay forever for Netflix until Netflix gets taken over by another competitor. It's like you will be funding something consistently, and that is how you get your yellow star. There you go. And then obviously brown star, with an institution or collective idea, you demonstrate great leadership or achievement. That means you're actually quite amazing at this thing you're doing, and people recognize it. Brown, excellent. Now the one above that is you become a leader in what you're doing there, or you create your own institution or collective idea dedicated to black betterment. Now, I would say that when it comes to public-facing, speaking black custodians, they should all be black stars, and all the trainee browns, yellows, and white. Their job is to work within the community and come up. But ultimately, we want black star, black custodians to go on all public platforms or do public work and represent black people publicly, more publicly, I should say. That's just an idea, but this idea could be twisted and flipped if the community doesn't agree. But just things I'm pushing forward. All right, now. By the way, family, we do have a link. I'll post it in one more time. Where are you, link? There you are. Fantastic. There you go. I need to remember to fix something that went wrong with this as well. It's weird that I got blocked from showing my traditional screen, which is never good. Yes, all right. So if anyone wants to jump in, please do. We are probably half an hour left, I would say. It goes quite fast. We're covering the topic of how do we, where is the PDF? Well, gosh, am I even on the same channel? Oh, wait, where's that one? Ah, right, because it's in the window. That's why. Where are you? There you are in the window. Right. So the question we're asking is, how best can we protect children from racialized mistreatment? Ultimately, we can only at the moment have awareness and have, like someone said in the group, know your rights. Always request in this situation that happened to be seen by adult.
Oh, bro, I've got the breakdown if you want me to still read
Please
it.
do. Please do. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is actually only on page 2. So it says introduction.
Yes.
In 2020, child Q, a black female child of secondary school age, was strip searched by female officers from the Metropolitan Police Services. The search, which involved the exposure of child X's intimate body parts, took place on school premises without an appropriate adult present, with the knowledge that child Q was menstruating. Teachers told the review that on the day of the search, they believed child Q was smelling strongly of cannabis and suspected that she might be carrying drugs. On questioning child Q, she denied using or having any drugs in her possession. A search of her bag, blazer, scarf, and shoes revealed nothing of significance. Remaining concerned, teachers sought advice from the Safer Schools police officer. Due to the restrictions arising from COVID-19, this officer was not on site. He recommended that the school call 101 and ask for a female officer to attend. A male and female officer subsequently arrived at the school, followed by another 2 officers, one of whom was female. Do you see how that's worded, bro? A male and a female officer subsequently arrived at the school, followed by another 2 officers, one of whom was female. So should we just assume that the other one was male then? That's an odd way of writing it. After discussion between the officers, the police and the teacher, child Q was escorted into the medical room. She was subsequently searched. So can you see why it's just a bit, the words is just a bit dodgy on this,
Yeah.
No appropriate adult was in attendance. Teachers remained outside of the room, and child Q's mother was not contacted in advance. No drugs were found during either the strip search or the search in the room in which child Q has been waiting beforehand. Child Q was later allowed to return home, where she disclosed the events to her mother. Child Q described how she had been strip searched whilst menstruating. So, I mean, you can see why people are just really looking at this and they're just not comfortable with this review. And considering this was a review with a lot of bodies behind it, people are supposed to have investigated it. It's quite vague, and you can see they're just hiding things. It's shocking. It's just shocking.
Yeah, it is bad.
I mean, it's natural to be emotional, and as a mother, I'm naturally going to be emotional, and we should be, because we should look at this as our child. This is our child. This is not somebody else's child. This is your child. This is my child. But at the same time, this, in order to make sure that this doesn't happen again, there needs to be this kind of precedent that you're setting in regards to like the custodians. If not, this will continue to happen.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, we have to have a level head. We have to realize that, unfortunately, anything that has ever bad happened to Black people will happen again. We have to expect it, and then try to put in these kind of measures to minimize that in future settings. And I'm pushing forward to actually have dedicated lifestyles where Black people help Black people, and dedicated let's get the word, designations of people who publicly represent black people who practice that lifestyle. And I think by this codified way of behaving, we will actually make a difference. We will, in some, whether we gain more economic power, more synchronized power, more trading power, more boots on ground power, all the power you think of, by being more synchronized and realizing that the kumbaya concept doesn't necessarily work at the moment. Better is to actually focus on those who are most mistreated, those who are consistent at the bottom, those who suffer from most self-esteem problems, and generally try to escape our responsibilities by jumping to other community groups, to have a firm focus on what do we do as a community to guarantee that our children are not mistreated in the institutions that we pay to protect them. Very important we can do that. The trauma, these kind of the legacy of what's going to happen now. I hope it isn't true with this woman, not woman, but this girl, sorry. Self-harming potentially. I'm overhearing, and this kind of stuff. I'm hoping not.
Yeah.
But
she's going through a lot. She's going through some sort. But for me, the fact that there's just issued that apology is just showing you the lack of respect and the knowledge that there's no accountability when you harm someone within our community, a child within our community.
No. And
because
this is,
if you say one thing, if you just say a word out of place with another community, you've lost your whole livelihood.
Yeah, I think what I might just for the families to know, I'm going to put it in the group again. Let me put it one more time. This is important because what we might start doing is certain kind of campaigns where we use these kind of words where you can harm a black child and get away with it. We have to have these kind of imagery that we can share amongst to just educate black people on the realities that actually black girls are the most unprotected. That's because, unfortunately, black men are obviously, unfortunately, collectively inadequate, as well as heavily demonized and this kind of stuff. So we need to have these conversations and then have what is to be done about it. I'm now posting the Instagram link after that work. But if you are on Instagram, please follow. Type in Black Betterment Building, one word. That's what is it, everyone. I'm going to put that on this screen so you can type in your free time. Because what we'll be doing is I'll be promoting this show more so on there, but also I'll be creating, let's have a sneak peek on the teak. I'll be creating some of the, content that will have some of this information on it. And, just thought-provoking ideas. We need to educate people. So please jump on that. We've got 3 followers. Look at that. So 3 followers in 3 seconds. I'm sure that'll be more in a few time, but we just started the page, but we want to get as many people on there. We want to have dedicated Black Betterment pages for all this kind of stuff. I really feel that we need to kind of spell out, spoon feed solutions to black people. I think this will not happen to any other people group at all. It isn't about looking at other communities and saying, they do this, we do that, this kind of stuff. But I can't imagine this happening to an Asian girl. Just couldn't imagine it, especially of a Islamic background. This wouldn't really happen. This kind of mistreatment seems to be reserved for black people because they know that there is no united institution dedicated to defend black people. We are inadequate in this area, and we're going to work on it. But unfortunately, I should say, without communication, without actually saying we are black people who want to defend black people, who want to help black people, we won't get it. Because just actually wishy-washy thinking, everything will fix itself and will come together. It really doesn't work, family. And I'm looking for you guys who are happy to openly confess you want to practice betterment, and that's important. Well, welcome, Brother Kel. How's it going?
How you doing, Brother Ivan? How you doing, Sister Custody? Brother, it's not a good topic, is it? What happened? And it tells us a lot. I think me and Sister Custody and the rest of the family, you know, we were speaking about this. It's not good. And you know, we were saying that I believe anyway that we need to make racism. We need to campaign, whether it be funding our politicians, because that's how it's going to have to go, and making racism a crime, instead of it going down the sexual assault way. And the reason I'm saying that for is that they did it because our women, unfortunately, because of us as men, we exercise no power. So it was a thing where I'm going to deny your human rights by violating you in this type of behavior. So the racial tactics should be more emphasized and campaigned that it was based on racism instead of it based on sexual assault. They'll get away from the racism, and it'll be classed as, oh, these men were, you know, they, you know, couldn't control themselves. But in actuality, they did it based on the fact that we are a people who are organized, and we have economics and we have military base, where your people are disorganized and don't have it. So I can do whatever I want with you. That makes any sense.
Perfect sense. Welcome, Sister Tash, a very amazing contributor to the show. Do you have any thoughts on this particular topic?
Oh, hello. Sorry, gosh, I've missed a lot of this show, to be honest with you, but I had to just jump on because the subject matter is such an important subject. And big up to those who organised the protest earlier on today. And I think they're doing something outside the BBC tomorrow, and I think on Sunday they're meeting, I think at the same police station again. I don't even know how to put this into like a concise piece. I'm not sure where to start, because there's so many areas here that need to be looked into. First of all, it's been great to see the unity amongst the Black community. This is one thing that we're always good at. When things go, you know, horribly wrong, we all unify, and it was great to see people from different groups. In regards to the two institutes, which is the Education Institute and the Police Institute, I'll speak a little bit on the Education Institute. I think there are there's a lot of things to look into. So I'm looking to see the report. I've got the report, but I need to read it in more detail. Definitely policies and procedures were broken, and I think a few heads need to go. And it was great to know that the Year 11 students had done their own protest as well, which was great today. I suppose my concern moving forward is this. We need to continuously make noise about this in all spaces on social media. We shouldn't be fearful of, and we should continue to do peaceful protests, even if it means protesting on social media, boycotting certain spaces. We should be doing that. For me, with the Educational Institute has always been a difficult space for the Black child. It's always been a difficult space for Black families, Black women in particular, that end up having to go to these institutes. It's always been a very, very difficult and troublesome community. But what we need to do, and I know we spoke about this in the back, is I need to probably step forward and discuss your legal rights as a parent, the legal rights of the child once you're in that institute. Once you enter the classroom, there are rights that parents are just not aware of. And I think this should be a wake-up call to all parents. As soon as you touch down in that class, that reception class with your child, Black boy or Black girl, you make sure you meet the coordinator for your year group. Find out how they're teaching your child, what they're teaching your child, what targets your child needs to meet. If your child's not attaining it, you question why. Don't let the school just drag the child through because their teaching styles are not effective to that child. Any kind of moments in which this girl has gone through of where they decide to say they're going to take your child out of the classroom, and it happens as early as year 1 for no reason, these things need to be reported. And you need to constantly have conversations with your child. It's difficult for me, obviously, because I've got to be a little bit careful in regards to some of the things that I would like to say. But I think now I've got a duty to empower parents to learn about the legal system within the education system now. So I think at some point, and I was speaking to Sister Kushni and Brother Kale about this, that at some point I'd like to bring in a black psychologist, child psychologist, a black speech and language therapist, black teachers that have left, black counsellors, black mentors, into this kind of environment that you've got here to have this discussion in more detail, so we can have a little bit more of a in-depth discussion on what needs changing and you know what the school and the local authorities see our black children as, you know. So I can't really touch on the other institute, the police force, but yeah, I'd like, if you're up for that, Raven, I would like to do that at some point if we could organise that.
Yeah, definitely,
yeah, that would be great, because I think it is I think it's for a different show, really, some of the stuff that I do want to say, but yeah, there's definitely things that are broken, and I think unfortunately the problem is, and I know Kel is very much on the whole race discrimination kind of issue in this particular case. The problem is with this, I know many parents that have tried and wanted to go and said, look, you know, I've had to advise there is a discrimination, you know, act that, you know, they haven't. And the thing is, you pay so much money to go down the legal route, and all you get is an apology at the end. You may not even get them, you know, leaving. But another thing I would say is get on the governing boards in your schools. Know what's going on in your schools. Put your ear to the ground. If you've got a child in your school, you've got a responsibility. If you're not on the governing board, to know somebody that's on it, so you know what your school's doing. Because that's the first, when you have a disciplinary, the first space you go to is the governors, and they decide. And they can decide whether the school's doing wrong or whether you're doing wrong. So you get the say, and you get the opportunity to lay the law down as well. So yeah, there's so much that I could be here forever. There's so much that I would like to say. We're probably gonna have to do another show on this, to be honest with you, Raven. But yeah, sorry guys, bit of a monologue.
No, it's good. Express yourself is excellent. Yeah, so before you guys jumped on, Brother Kel and Sister Tash, we were just discussing, you know, solutions to this, and as we will talk about, pain will come every other month. Whatever happens now will happen again some year. So we have to have kind of future plans of things we build to protect us. And one of the concepts we're pushing in is the designation of the Black Custodians. And last week we were talking about what is it that we want a Black custodian to do, and should we have a star system or a belt system, as we're talking about, where a person can move up the belt system to become the black belt or the black star. And we were just talking about, if a Black custodian, what should be the starting phrase? And we said that openly confess to Black people of the world that you want to be a custodian, and you agree to the code of custodians, which we're going to form here. And that stuff will include things like, you know, Black love, Black economics, all that good stuff. So that way everyone's on the same page of what is dedicated to Black betterment, you know, that kind of stuff. Then a yellow star was the next one up. You progress as you join an institution of collective idea that is collectively dedicated to Black betterment, or consistently fund an institution or collective idea that is dedicated to Black betterment. So a person who puts their money where their mouth is or joins something, just this act alone and being part of it for a few, whatever it might be, will then get you the yellow star. This will say that you're moving up in the rank, that you are a yellow star Black Custodian. You wouldn't necessarily be representing Black people publicly at this point because you're still in your growth, but you're actually a Black Custodian within the community, just not necessarily in public eye like that. And then obviously the brown star is with an institution or collective idea, you demonstrate great leadership or achievement. So once you join these collections, group, whatever you're in, you demonstrate that you're really good and you're doing it really well, and people recognize what you're putting in, and you're actually quite exceptional. And then obviously, if you were to be very good at that, or hit a leadership role in that institution, or you lead your own institution or creative idea, then you could be considered a Black Star, and this is something reserved for the creme de la creme. And we want those particular individuals to represent Black people publicly, and and this is kind of like the position that people would want to get to be, and hopefully we have a codified way and community way of controlling that. So when we have these kind of shows, that you might have missed some of the shows, but one thing we were doing was we were analyzing. Where's this fantastic thing here? Because they had two brothers and sisters on this show, and we'll listen to what they were saying. Let's see if we can find any pictures of them. And we're seeing that good on them for being there and representing Black people, but we wanted to make sure that were they saying stuff that's in Black people's best interest.
And then called the police.
Probably not. Let's skip. Yeah, look, there she's nice smile, nice woman there. Let's put there.
Her mum wasn't called. There was no other appropriate adult in the room. The Met Police have apologised, but do you understand how this happened?
My heart is racing just as you describe of that, because there's definitely re-traumatization here for a number of people.
So what we want is, in future times, we want a person who we know is on that show, who their prime interest is the betterment of Black people and to represent Black interests and Black needs at the most elite level. That's something that's a want that we can put into our wish list. And we can create that one by rules and codes and this kind of thing that people have to live up to. But let's see what the sister said.
Involved.
Right.
As a teacher and as a parent and as a human being, I'm appalled that any child could be treated this way. And in fact, no one should be treated this way. But
so what we do a lot as Black people is we discuss our feelings about what shouldn't happen. The world knows what shouldn't happen. And this is good. You should express this. This is important. But what we want to really get to is what is to be done. But let's see if that is actually answered at all. Oh, there. I skipped away to the back. Shame on me twice. Let me find it again. There, yeah, let's see. Yeah, I would say around about there. If I'm wrong, you can shout at me.
Just as you describe of that, because there's definitely re-traumatization here for a number of people involved.
Right.
As a teacher and as a parent and as a human being, I'm appalled that any child could be treated this way. And in fact, no one should be treated this way.
And I guess it's always good to say of any child shouldn't be treated that way, and that's good. And if there's techniques behind that, say that. But we want to always emphasize a Black child. Very important.
But children in particular, and in particular in a place of safety, which is what schools are supposed to be. So I feel beyond, I would say, rage about this. And in terms of your question of how could this have happened? Dal has already talked about the fact that there are a number of systemic failures that happen in this case. And what is important about this case is, first of all, to say how horrific it was, but it was only one out of 26 other searches that happened in that borough alone of Hackney.
So what we're doing, we're talking about how bad it is and how consistent it is, but we're not really going on what is to be done.
In 1 year, intimate searches that involve children. So this is...
Once again, we want to emphasize that it was the majority were Black, 22 of the 25 were Black. They were innocent, but the majority were Black, something like this. Very important facts.
And out of those 26 searches, 22 led to the police finding nothing. Right? So children are being sexually assaulted.
Black children.
Because
for no reason.
And this is what...
So once again, that was like a complaint fest, which is good, you got to complain. But we want to make sure that we have people who are trying to find solutions and unify Black people on a consistent message.
It feels like, I can imagine, is that this was an assault, Dal?
Yeah.
Let's keep this, brother. All right, it was assault, we know this. This is the his brother was a bit more slow paced, but
as adults instead of as children. It's a process called adultification, and it's done by police towards young black children.
Absolutely. And firstly, this story has really, really broken me. It's one of those stories that you read and you're like, is this real? Am I in a dream? I have a 15-year-old daughter, a 15-year-old black daughter that goes to school. Before she left for school yesterday morning, I gave her a massive hug and told her to be careful. No conversation that a father should have with their children going to school, and it is because she's black. As you said, these schools adultify our black children. They criminalise our black children, and they're not seen as victims. They're seen as adults and they're seen as criminals, which is why they feel that they can justify this ill treatment. I mean, when we think about the parameters of this case, and I will not go into detail about it, but the very fact that both police officers plus the teachers, safeguarding leads, heads, all of those agencies in that space thought that it was appropriate for those police officers to sexually abuse that child.
I mean, you call it sexual abuse, and I understand that.
So, as I mentioned before, she kind of starts something here, which seems like almost a claim was made of sexual assault, and then this was almost like to kind of lessen that claim, but I could be wrong.
You're calling the strip search a form of sexual abuse. Yeah.
So she caught herself there. I don't know. Maybe just me and my years of performing arts and that kind of stuff that shows for that, but could be wrong.
Zara, how have we got here? And how has this been allowed to happen? I mean, it's not the only case. There are other cases of racism within schools from the authority figures that are...
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how long we want to talk about racism in schools and this kind of stuff. Oh, is this the same? I think... She's the second thing she said?
Unfairly by the British education system. And I would urge everyone to read Bernard Cord, 1971, how the West Indian child is made educationally subnormal. A lot of what's in that book still applies today. Disproportionate.
I think also maybe as a campaign, what we could do is actually, when we ever get to public spaces there, and they ask what the solution is, give that, they come by our solution, briefly, whatever. But then also go, but also, while we're telling you guys is the problem, here's what us black people need to do. And then you mentioned institutions and concepts that works with black people's best interest.
Segregated education settings for black children, disproportionate punishment, disproportionate exclusion.
What you're gonna get used to as well when you get to the whole of Black Lives Matter and these kinds of things, where it will be black people listen of problems to white people in the hopes that something sticks and some authority changes. Not the best strategy. I think the strategy once again is black love, black economics, this kind of stuff. So we're going to try to brand that, and maybe when people get on these kind of shows, they can in some way indirectly mention these names, these tropes and what they mean, these hashtags.
Labeling as having mental health and social and emotional problems. And
how do we shift that perception? How can we get to the point where this can never happen again?
It's interesting. How can we? The European host is asking the black woman, how can we stop white people mistreating black people? Interesting dynamic. Interesting. And let's see what the black woman says.
It's really difficult.
Yes. Or is it?
Everybody wants a solution. I was talking to your
We do? What is the solution, sister?
To your research.
I wonder if she gives it.
Yesterday, that in order to change things, we'll have to change everything. We have to change our values as a society, the way...
Values as a society. That could be a good way to segue to the black values. Like, what do black people value? That might be an interesting one.
That we view children, in particular black...
We view children, in particular black children.
We need to be able to afford black children the benefit of innocence, the same way we afford that benefit to all other children.
Once again, I say it now, people think I'm just rambling on, but just notice how black people always plead to non-black people to treat black people as human.
Would this have happened if...
I was
go
going
ahead.
to say, she's saying we need to do this, we need to do that.
Yes.
And it's kind of like, it's a bit, oh gosh, I don't know. I would have liked to put more of an iron fist on it, to be honest, but I suppose he is asking for solutions, and he's, you know, but it's just that whole, well, you know, she should be speaking for us rather than.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is what you are mentioning is the role of the Black Custodians that we're pushing forward, and the Black Custodian, male or female, will go on there, and how they will conduct it. They'll be very clear of what has happened and what we want to happen, and then you will spend a certain amount talking direct to Black people. So you'll probably go in there and go, yeah, our children have been misused and abused for many years. This particular case, it's terrible. Here's what we want. We want them to be punished. We want money. We want names. We want this, and then you end with, okay, Black people, we're here for you. Remember, Black love, Black economics. Go to blackwhatever.com and let us build something so we can defend ourselves from it. Literally, get a culture of doing that. Literally talking inwards on platforms. Go ahead.
But Brother Raven, I can't remember who it was. There's something about protesting, right? So if we look at it in a political, scientific way, if we're going to protest, brother, it has to lead towards reforming, and then it has to lead towards changing the system, brother. Now, the reason I'm saying this for is we have to look at the blueprint of the Black Lives Matter and protesting before that, right? So protesting, it needs to be very serious now, and it needs to have criterias and strategies that's going to lead to reforming and changing, right, the system, right? Now, if we're going to do that, after that, we need to get the community, because we're in a position now, we've got Black landlords now that can allocate institutions that we can fund and turn it into a school. We need to emphasize that now, because it's telling us, just like the past, that our African children are not safe with non-African people. You see, they're not safe, and we knew this anyway. And that, so now, brother, this show right now needs to be advocated to community, all Black landlords who have links to getting institutions or land. We're going to seek you out, and the community in UK are going to put money together, and we're going to buy that institution, and we're going to turn it into a school. All the Black teachers, all the Black headmasters, they're going to come to this institution. And the reason why the campaign is, our Black children are not safe with non-African people in their institutions. While that's happening, brother, it has to go back to the protesting. It has to be strategically. We're protesting, brother, while funding politicians to make racism a crime. It's got to be classed as a crime. If the Jews can make talking about the Jewish community a crime, we have to make racism against African people a crime. It can be done. We have the lawyers, we have politicians. If we fund them, we have to make racism a crime.
Well, so thank you, Brother Cal. Any things to add by Press Christy or Sister Tash at all before we wrap up today's episode?
Yeah, Christy. Oh, okay.
No, I was just going to say that I'm glad that we covered this topic today, in light of the protesting, and again, signed a petition. There's a petition out there. I'll try and quickly get it and post it in. It's important for the family to sign that. Big up for the family for stepping out, and all the grassroots, because you could tell it was definitely grassroots, Hackney-based institutions, Black institutions there. So I just commend them, and it was just a great show.
Thank you very much, Sister. And Kush, Tash, sorry, Tash.
No worries. Yeah, I was just going to say a few other things. Anyone who has a Black child within the school system, always say this to yourself: is your child's needs being met? Are the school following the correct policies and procedures? This is definitely a wake-up call. I mean, I have kind of I've slipped it in a few times in the last few years I've been on YouTube, that there is a major issue. And I said black girls about, I think it was last year I did it on my Discord server. There is a big issue in the way that, in particular, Caribbean black girls are being dealt with in the education system. They are now at the highest, they've got the highest number of exclusions in London at the moment, black girls. So it's in the Independent. I'm going to put the article on the server so people can read it again. We had a massive discussion about it. I think this time last year the article came out. So what my thing is, and I'm not going to be angry with my own community, but this has been documented that there's an issue there. There's an issue there that these young women in particular are being targeted. So we've got to, for me, we've got to collectivise and we've got to act in a way where we're able to kind of empower ourselves and go down the legal route. I'm definitely in agreement that I think maybe this is a moment where black institutes, right, need to be thought about in a serious manner in terms of our children possibly coming out of these schools and to be put into black-owned institutes that are for black children only. I've never really agreed with it, but I think now it might be the time where this might have to take place, unfortunately, right? And it's because it's a safety factor as well. We have to think about, are our children safe? And you know, I would definitely say, even before this case, I've found some shocking stuff that's taken place. So, but this, I mean, I can hear it in Sister Kushti's voice. I mean, I can hear she's just spent. I can tell it's not just her. Everybody that I've spoken to today, every mother, everyone that I've heard on the YouTubes, in the protests, women, you can just hear the hurt and the anger in everybody, because we've got to all think about taking our daughters to school next week. And there's 23 black children last year were stripped down in that particular borough by police officers. I mean, that is just absolutely disgraceful.
Yep.
And there's a normalisation that we've got to be very, very careful that they've normalised things to the point where we haven't acted, and it's now time to act. And I'm hoping I can get to speak to Raspek later on this evening, and we can have a chat to see what he knows and a few other people, and we can see where people are going and make a change. Make a change. But yeah, thanks for putting this show together. It was probably last minute, wasn't it, Raven?
Yeah, thanks, Empress Kushti and Sister Shireen.
Yeah. Kushti's big respect to her, man. She was the one that brought it to my attention yesterday, and I was just in shock. And no one had told me. I was just in complete shock. I hadn't heard about these strip searches, and I didn't even know they existed. I haven't come across it. So, yeah.
Just something for people to think about. Within the 4D values, where is it? Hold on. Is it here? Dignity is one thing that we strive to be, and in this situation, the girl was denied a dignity in this one. It was undignified by the way they treated it, and it's something that it's the perception of how many non-black people view black people, black women, unworthy of dignity, this kind of stuff. Something to be aware of.
It was incredibly intrusive, and it's funny that it's interesting because they were doing this big thing about respecting personal space. This was an ethos that, because initially we had multicultural values. It's now being turned into British cultural values. If you look at the policies of majority of secondary educational schools, they'll mark it as British. It used to be multicultural, but when the Tories came through, they changed it. Then this whole personal space, respecting personal space. So it's interesting that this is kind of it's turned around, and yeah, we're seeing it in living colour, where they felt that the black child was the problem in terms of personal space. They always used to label them, or those that couldn't speak the language weren't able to, close to labeling them as barbaric at times, aggressive, rather than expressive, assertive, creative, So yeah, this is interesting. It's awful. It's an awful thing that's happened, but it should be a wake up call to everyone, hopefully.
Yeah, maybe next week we'll analyze dedicated school systems from different people groups and dedicated ideas that other communities do, just so we can start the trail of what does
Look, the Jews have it. I know there's religious schools. I know that it's religious, but the Jews have their own school. The Sikhs have their own school. The Muslims, maybe it's a case of where whichever wanted, the boys' school. Maybe we need to be looking into that.
Well, I think one solution is we there's either having a black school or having a black Betterment school. You see, now black Betterment school is a black people helping black people in black issues. It's a lifestyle dedicated to solutions. So maybe black Betterment schools might be an idea. So because with black people, it doesn't say anything. It says that you're the person, but by black Betterment, that's an action. And hopefully that might be an easy way to word it to get things back. That we want schools dedicated to black Betterment, and we'll see what we can do.
Well, just one moment, just to respond to that, Raven. For you to even question that whether we should have one or the other, black Betterment in this critical climate that we're in is a necessity, brother. It's not even negotiable at this stage.
No,
it's a necessity. We can't afford to even question it.
No, I mean, if we can't defend our look, unfortunately, the black man cannot defend the black woman, and the black woman cannot defend the black child, and the black man can't defend the black woman and black child. So the whole premise of like just basic survival skills is really at critical mass. It has been for some time, and there's many different challenges going on in the community. Some we will know about, some not so much. But realistically, the promotion of black people helping black people on black issues as a lifestyle will be a solution. And trend-defined marketing doing that will be there. And whenever we need to have a rally campaign or a marketing campaign, these stories will be used at the front of why this is important and why this will happen again next year or next month or next weekend. Because without these things in place, there is no defense for it. And other communities do it so much more efficient than us. So we have to follow suit, and we have to reverse the kumbaya concept that we've been trained to have, and also reverse the self-sabotage and reverse the fear of actually wanting to fix black issues. So this is what we work towards, and I suspect we'll get there, but we just have to be clear on what we want.
I will say one thing though, Brother Raven, is that for those who are listening, that I urge you and I advise you to look into the ad pack, what Dino Kai has come up with. And there is a couple solutions that are there that will help with this situation. But at the same time, we do need to, and I was speaking to this with Sister Tash, Sister Kushti, that we need to, like she said it already, we need to know our rights. And some of us are going to have to be decoys to tackle the police if these things happen again. We know that they're known for manhandling our African family, right? So someone that could destabilize the energy, they may have to sacrifice in order to prevent African life being humiliated or even tortured. And we know that there's many histories of freedom fighters, they used to do that. If you look in the Haitian Revolution, they used to put their hands in the cannon to stop the cannon from destroying the other Africans that were effectively wiping out. So we have to sacrifice, but we should take it to the ad pack and also understand why we're protesting with the steps, and definitely seek our black landlords who have connection with institutions and land and build. There are Pan-Africanist schools in UK, but there needs to be more Black Betterment solution-based schools.
Thank you, family. If there's any more things, we're going to end it there. So I guess from Empress, Kushti, Brother Kel, and Sister Tash, I'd like to thank everyone here, and hopefully, from strength to strength, we'll be refining some of these codes we're putting forward, and we invite you guys to join in. You are part of the community. You're also part of the solution if you choose to be. But until next week, Black Betterment, and also don't forget we have a brand new Instagram page. Please tell a friend to be a friend. Follow it because we'll promote it on there. And yeah, let's get every single Black person in the world synchronized. Yeah, have a good one. Until next week, Black Betterment. Thank you, family. And the